I tend to, when I get a budget, I kind of look at that as a vague budget. I don't usually ever stick to that budget. It's hard to, fluctuations in pricing of materials and subs and warranties or redos or changing something to get it right costs money. Nobody's free. But what I've always kind of told other people and myself is that I always usually
So we are here with Chris Lewis of Craft Design Build. Got Akash on the other side, and I don't know if you guys have followed my social media, my career, but I've worked with numerous builders, both on the buy and sell side, and I've worked with obviously all different types of clientele. But when it comes to local, when it comes to quality, I've really gravitated towards Chris and Crafted because he actually cares about his home. And so this is actually a really special treat for me to get on camera with my friend, with my developer, with my partner, and to have him kind of share his story about this beautiful home at 1619 29th Ave in the neighborhood of Madrona in Seattle. He's willing to share a little bit of insight on his journey and also this gorgeous home, the first of two that we're releasing later this month.
So I just wanted to say real quickly, when we walked in here earlier, Chris, you told me a story about how you came about this house and kind of just world domination on this street. And so I just wanted you to kind of share how that kind of came around.
It's been a journey. About 8 years ago, a good friend of mine who lives right across the street from this project kept sending me photos of this for sale by owner sign that was sticking out of 4 feet of grass 3 parcels up the street on the corner. And, as one that was busy in projects and vacationing and living life, I just kind of put it to the side. Finally, he annoyed me 4 to 5 times. And so I was like, I guess I got to do something about this. And so I finally called up the for sale by owner, and we had a great chat. We had a great chat about future family. We had a good chat about, quality business practices and quality building. And she knew I was a builder. And we managed to come to an agreement and for me to acquire that first parcel of these total of 3 now that are on the street. That house up there, designed myself, it was obviously a raw piece of dirt, and I ended up living there for 3 years and grew to love this area, grew to love the neighbors. And when these 2 parcels, I had word that they might be coming available, I reached out to the owners themselves, and we struck up relationships. Each one, I think I knew the owner for over a year, probably closer to 2 years, before we reached an agreement. And most of them were over handshakes, and then obviously you go through the, entitlements and everything else. And here we are today. So I designed this with my architect, Akash, and we basically did 2 matching houses that had very similar floor plans for everyday families, everyday generational families as well. They have the ADUs in the basement here, which are great for either families that haven't grown to the size that they need the whole house, or possibly families that have outgrown their families and kids have now moved away and now they have their grandparents that want to live there, or the possibility of just renting it up. And last possibility is, we actually designed it so you can take down the entire wall and have the whole house, all 3 floors, feel like a giant single family house. And so that's something that we like to do in all of our builds, is really give people the opportunity to hopefully, in this case, choose which way you want to live, rather than building a box and keeping them within that box, kind of helping them, building the box, but then helping them kind of, figure out what works best for them. And it's been great.
So I helped Chris, sell his home a few doors down from over here, and we saw the next door neighbor start their remodel and build out, and lo and behold, Chris reached out to me about a month and a half ago. We've had a great relationship in the past, both personal and professional, And he wanted me to take a look at these homes again and see what he had done. And, per usual, Chris goes above and beyond quality. He goes above and beyond floor plan layouts. The pride of ownership that I see with Chris and Crafted is, bar none, the best in the market because he actually cares. Every one of this has his stamp of approval. He has his own architects, his own crew that he brings with him at every job site for quality control. And so I think once you see this home in person, through the videos, through open houses, through tours, you'll really see the pride of ownership that Chris has in all his homes, all his products. And I think it's really a special place. And again, it's one of those situations to hear Chris out loud just talk about the opportunity for anyone who buys this home. It could be a family, it could be a single person, it could be a couple, no kids, whatever it might be. There's flexibility in this home. Like, who puts that foresight into a home and in a development where most builders, honestly, want to close it and just get the money out? Chris has that foresight and the idea to give an opportunity for the future homeowner to turn this into a big home that they can just grow into. It gives you an opportunity now in this day and age where Airbnbs and short-term rentals are a big thing, to have that flexibility there. And again, if you have family or friends that need somewhere to stay, that completely separate ADU downstairs to host family, friends, out-of-town guests. This home has it all. And again, you probably can't see too much in the background of this video where we're sitting around the dining room table, but it is set up to entertain. It is set up to live. It is set up to enjoy. And so, again, we hope you'll have a chance to come take a look at this place with us, either at our open houses or private tours. But you will see what I see, what we see, and what Chris has created with Crafted in this beautiful home.
So, Chris, I wanted to ask you what attracted you to Madrona. It seems like you kind of put an anchor down here, and the whole area kind of feels like it's going to be yours, kind of in a sense. I just see the quality, and it just is striking. So I just wanted to know what kind of attracted you to the area.
A couple things attracted me there. One was my whole kind of formative life. I went to school down the street at the Bush School, so I went there kindergarten through 12th grade, okay. Which is kind of down here in Madison Valley, not quite to Madison Park. Growing up, living in Ballard, we'd have to drive over here every day of our lives. But most of my friends lived around Madison Park and Madrona. And so I always envied that, where I was like, oh man, they always live, they're all living near each other and near school, and they don't have to drive 35 minutes to school every day. They can walk. And so my whole life I've been really attracted to that about this area. And as I kind of moved through life, I couldn't afford Madison Park. And so I was like, what's the closest I can get to, where I could actually live? And Madrona was where it was at. My sister and my brother-in-law happened to be living in the same area right up the street. A lot of my close friends still lived around here. But when I looked at it through my developer eyes, I really started to look at Madrona and see that it was very undervalued. There's still a lot of houses here that were not their highest and best use. A lot of what you, I guess, would call like the old war boxes that were, sitting on relatively decent-sized lots, but were just underutilized. Another thing I really liked about Madrona is, not to pick on Ballard again, but sorry Ballard. I really love you guys. But that this has a lot of hills and undulations, and so that gives you the opportunity that as you build on hills, you have different views. Mm-hmm. Ballard is relatively flat, so you kind of get what you get. Mm-hmm. And so that's what kind of attracted to me about this, is that we're not really in the valley, we're kind of up off the valley. Yeah. And so from the rooftop decks, from even the back decks, you can see Holy Names Cathedral, you can see down the valley. And it gives you a little bit of uniqueness that you don't get in some other parts of the city. And we've built 9 units 3 blocks down the street here. We built this unit here up the street, obviously. These two, I think for the last 3 years now, I haven't done a project that has been with further than like a 1 mile radius of Madison Valley. That includes that hillside along over there. We did 2 projects last year. So it's not only is it convenient for me and my superintendent and my subs to to help keep our eye on things, back to the quality control. But I was very bullish on this area in general, just the ease of getting downtown or Capitol Hill or Lake Washington is literally blocks away.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going in. The new PCCs coming in, a lot more restaurants, and then. But the uniqueness of like the hillsides, I think, is really kind of what sets different areas apart.
Yeah.
And this is just one of those that I was like, done. I see what I like, and let's stay here and try to conquer the street.
Yeah. So Chris and I, as noted before, we worked together on several different projects. Helped him on a project in Magnolia. Helped him in a project in Loyal Heights. And just like his story led to, he loves this area. He had the pick of the litter of areas, neighborhoods that he could focus on, but he believed so much in Madrona that he bought a house or bought a lot, built his dream home there. His sister lives down the street, like he said. He still lives in the area, the immediate area. His family still lives in the area. And so I think that's one of those things to keep in mind when you look at this home and you look at, what Chris has created here, is that he believes in the area. It's, you literally, Kosh was just telling me that it was driving over there. It's like, there's so many new construction everywhere. This area is untapped. This area, again, has 34th and all the retail and restaurants there. You're so close to Madison Park. You're so close to Capitol Hill. The functionality and the livability is just not just in the micro, but that next layer and the macro where you can get to downtown Seattle. You can get to Husky Stadium. I took the back roads after dropping off my son in Magnolia, and you cut through and the Arboretum. You're like, this is beautiful. This is an area truly where, again, Chris, myself, Akash, we've been out in this area. We've sold lots of homes in the area, and we have friends that live in the area. And to know that, again, this was a creation, an idea where Chris wanted to create a home for a family, for singles, for people that want a great investment, because he knew and he invested in this area still. So, again, I think it just speaks volumes to his thought process of why he's building in this area and why he's focused. It's amazing to think that, again, Chris and Kraft are able to buy wherever they want, but they focus on this area because they love the area so much. You'll see a lot of these other local developers and even larger developers that will go anywhere and everywhere if they think they can make sense and make a little bit of money off of it. Chris truly wants to change Madrona into a place that has homes that speak to the neighborhood, that fit architecturally, that have the beauty, the space to, again, make Madrona what it is, make it even better moving forward. And so, again, it's always fun because I've worked with lots of developers and sold lots of new construction, and just to have someone that's so grounded in what they're looking for and what they're doing to build a home like this. And again, we'll have some videos, we'll have lots of photos, 3D tours, the works, and so you'll really see here shortly what we're working on and what Chris has already created to get a real great feel of the space.
I think it's amazing that you live in the area. I mean, that you're talking about local builders, and local could be I live in Tacoma and I'm building in Everett, right? Like that could be local. We're talking here, same area code, right? Same zip code, same neighborhood. Chris, I wanted to ask you, what is one of your favorite things that's unique about this house that you are like, I can't wait to share this, or I can't wait to show this off?
Yeah, I think, I would say I don't think there's one. My main unique thing about this house would probably be the ADU functionality. I've been so used to building, like Henry said, a lot of what's going on in Seattle is the ADU, single family ADU, DADU situations. You could put 3 on one lot. Mm-hmm. Usually how that works is the single family and the ADU are, attached to each other. They're usually 3 stories tall, and they look like a mini apartment building or something. It doesn't look like a single family house. Mm-hmm. And so I've been doing a lot of those, which are great, and they work well and everything else, but there's a certain place for that. With this street, what I really wanted to respect was not only my old house, but my friend's house and all these other nice houses around here, that it's a single family neighborhood. It's not like it is, blocks away over there where, the single family ADU, DADU would work.
Ballard.
Like Ballard, back to Ballard. I think with this one, I really tried to maximize like we said, the diversity that the new homeowner can have. And so with that, we just kind of flipped it literally on its head and said, hey, instead of the SFR and the AD like this, let's just put them vertically on top of each other instead of horizontally next to each other.
Yeah.
And when you walk around this house from any different angle, you will think it's a single family house, because it is. It lives like a single family house, and it looks like a single family house. So I think that's our main uniqueness, I think, of this house and the one next door.
Yeah.
Just to, give somebody the opportunity to live a different way if they choose. I tend to, when I get a budget, I kind of look at that as a vague budget. I don't usually ever stick to that budget. It's hard to, fluctuations in pricing of materials and subs and warranties or redos or changing something to get it right costs money. Nobody's free. But what I've always kind of told other people and myself is that I always usually overbuild, thinking that I'm going to overbuild, only 5 to 10%, because not only will you get the best product out of that money, you'll get the real Carrera countertops, you'll get the shiplap walls and the trim walls and the wood beams and the higher end fixtures and the model hood that we built ourselves. You get things like that with that extra money. But what always eases me about writing those checks initially that, are always outside my budget lines is that, in any type of market, that quality will rise to the top. In bad markets, this quality, let's say this house and the house next door are identical, but that was lesser budget. This house will sell faster. Yeah. This house will not languish on the market as long. This house will hold together better over the long term. And you won't have the warranties and you won't have the callbacks that you might get in other houses that are done cheaply and quickly.
Yeah.
That's why I like to kind of take my time, and I would never leave a house to a homeowner that I wouldn't want to live in myself. And that's all that I ever really think about when I walk around here. I clean up this place like it's my house, like wipe your hands, or whatever, don't use the toilet or what, whatever it is, because you really kind of, you grow with these houses, they're like your children. It's like your baby, right? And so it's tough to see them go sometimes, but that's the greatness of it all, is that you put this out into the world and then you move on to the next one, and you keep trying to better the street, as we're talking about here, or the neighborhood, or any of that. So
yeah, I remember we've had that conversation before, again, because we've sold so many other new construction, that when I walk into a crafted project, a crafted home, you see the Carrera marble, you see the tiles that aren't off the shelf at Home Depot. Again, no offense, but you want to pay for quality. You want to, build a home that you love, and like you just said, that you could live in. You've lived in your own homes. You've done that to the other properties that you've owned in the past, and they look the same. Even with my remodel of my home, I use Chris's products because I know they're the best. That just tells you something, right? I bought a home a couple years ago, and hey, Chris, where do I get this? It's like, I got some tile for you. I'm like, beautiful. It's truly one of those things where when you build for yourself, the audience, the clientele, the buyers are going to love it, because it's not a cheap flip. It's not a cheap build out. It's, here's longevity in this home. Here's the ability to, again, raise a family, live here and retire, entertain friends and guests, whatever your story is, knowing that the builder actually cared. And again, you look at these fixtures, you look at these finishes, you won't find these. Actually, I take it back. Now everyone mimics, and it's a form of flattery, I know Chris and I have talked about, but I've seen so many of his products that he exclusively used in every one of his new builds in so many builders' homes now, because people see what he is doing and they mimic and follow his lead, and people like that. People love it. And so again, it's a compliment. It's it's a situation where sometimes it's hard, because I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like a crafted project, and again, it may not be, and you'll see it in other places, but when you see other people following your lead, it tells you you're doing something right. And so it's always fun for me to see Chris's projects as they progress, and say, okay, here's this, your white oak, here's your Carrera marble, here's the Belmont cabinets, here's these fixtures where, again, you don't find them on the shelf. He procures all this stuff on his own, and so again, the pride of ownership is there. And so I think when you see this place, you'll see it, you'll feel it, and you'll understand. Okay, he built this for himself. You know, he's selling it. He built it for himself because you see the quality and the workmanship.
So, Chris, well, just to wrap it up, when you were going to school down the street, was this always something you wanted to do? I think it'd be good to let our audience know. Is this something that, when you were in high school, you're like, I want to do this? Did you fall into this? How did this come about?
Yeah, I mean, since I can remember as a child, I would always love job sites. You know, my mom would always joke that we'd be driving down the street and I'd see a new construction house, be like, stop, I want to go walk through it, you know. And I was 4 or 5 years old, and I'd come back to the car with, the garbage pile. I'd take little chops of wood. I don't know what I was going to do with it at home. I was probably put it underneath my bed, but, I was going to build something at home, no screws. I guess I was going old school, just little, mallet blocks or whatever. But, I always loved job sites. And, ever since I was in middle school, we would get Architectural Digest at my house. I'd look through Architectural Digest since I was a middle school kid. I convinced my parents to let me do a high school, beginning of high school internship at NBBJ Architects, which is part of my dad's side of the family, which is a huge international firm. They did Safeco Field back in the day in Seattle. They did, the offices around the world. And so it was really cool when I was in, I think it was 9th grade, to be able to go down there once a week. And they would literally put me in the model room, and I had to put the stickers of the windows on the models, that were just going to go back on the shelf, but they weren't going to be seen by anybody. But they had this massive, probably 10 foot by 10 foot working model of Safeco Field. And I was just like, the retractable roof. And I was like, whoa, as a ninth grader, I was like, this is amazing. And so, going to college, I started off at UC Berkeley, was an architecture major there, and then ended up graduating from Cornell. But always architecture and design and building was kind of what I was into. And after a while, I worked for a different company, and I followed a lot of builders and stuff like that. But I think innately, at some point, you want the ability to have your touch on things, and that has a lot to do with just the quality, but also the way it's done, and just have the power over that, and the ability to make these different decisions and choosings. And not everything's right or wrong. It's just what you see. And so it really kind of gave me a bigger palette when I started building on my own, to say, oh, I love job sites, love the design process, love everything else. And it helps now that my wife loves interior design, and so she actually chooses everything, which is amazing. It takes a lot of pressure off my back,
Yeah.
Because it's tough enough to build, but it's tough to get the design right.
Yeah.
And if you kind of coast on that, you get kind of left behind. And so you kind of want to push the boundaries a little bit. But you also, like the previous question was, you got to kind of keep it within the reins of, a budget, right? And so, I think it was the perfect way for me to kind of blend all of my hopeful talents, but my hobby, the things I liked a lot in life, to create, and usually space design, to then be a builder on a small level. And I never wanted to get bigger. I just wanted to kind of keep it small so I could keep my eyes on everything.
Yeah.
It's a marriage of all the things that I liked.
I love that, because we see a lot of new construction and renovations, and it's somebody who was in the tech field and just saw an opportunity, or, they just came around this after the year 2020, or, so it's really awesome to see some 9th grade and collecting rocks and whatever before that. This has been a lifelong thing. That's awesome to hear. It goes to everything Henry was saying, the detail, all of it has been there since the beginning. It's not something that you've had another job and like, I see an opportunity here. Now, this is something you've been doing since you can remember. And I think that's just goes to show how awesome this is.
Yeah, I mean, Chris has always been hands-on. It was, at first, I didn't know Chris, and I was, working with him or working for him, however you want to call it. And I knew that I had to be on site all the time because he would be. And that's not normal. I've literally had builders, we sold their homes, and they'd come in, and they're the principal, and they say, hey, I'll ask them a question, like, I don't know, I'm just the money guy. Chris is the money guy, but he's also the builder, and he helps with the design, and he's not too proud to actually clean up his own mess, clean up around this place, because if he doesn't, his team doesn't follow. Again, it's lead by example. And so, again, this isn't, to say Chris is the most amazing person in the world. It's not to say that, you have to buy this home. It's if you do move forward and you see this home and you buy it, you will know that it has Crafted stamped on it, has Chris Lewis's name stamped on it, and it's going to be somewhere that you're going to love living. And so, again, it's been an awesome journey, with you, and it's to do so many projects with you, your own personal homes that I've sold for you. That's amazing. And again, to get into your projects again, to see what you still love doing, what you still love creating, and again, to have Jane be a part of the process, telling me stories of you bring your daughter here. Like, that is the dream right there, right? You've created that dream and that enigma of, I've built this, I'm building it now with my family. I can pass this on for generation and generations. And when I drive by this home in 5, 10, 20, 30 years, it will still be here, and it'll be a reflection of what you did and the energy and the efforts that you put into it. So I think the story's beautiful. We all have our own stories, and there's bumps in the roads and everything else like that. But to hear and to actually see it, that must be such a great feeling. Just to know that you did it right and you did it the right way. So kudos to you.
Feels great.
Yeah.
Thank you, fellas.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, man. This is awesome. This is fantastic.
Yeah. So again, this is 1619 29th Avenue in Madrona. We'll be going live soon with this, and hopefully everyone gets a chance to see it before we sell it, because it'll go fast. Thanks, guys.